Hi, it's Rabbi Jeremy from Mahar, and this is our Shabbat video for the weekend of September 9th and 10th, 2022. So before we really get started into the thing that I'm going to talk about, we'll go ahead and recite the blessings for candles, wine, and challah. So if you have candles, wine, and challah, and you want to recite the blessings along with me, go ahead and pause now. Go get what you're going to get, bring it back, and I'll be here waiting for you. Okay, so blessing for Shabbat candles. Nivarech et haor ba'olam, nivarech et haor ba'adam, nivarech et haor ba'Shabbat. Let us bless the light in the world. Let us bless the light in humanity. Let us bless the light of Shabbat. And for wine, Nivarech et yotzrei pri hagafen. Let us bless those who create the fruit of the vine. And then for challah, or bread, or crackers, or I guess rice cakes if you're into rice cakes, or maybe not cookies, maybe not cake. Nivarech et hamotziim lechem min haaretz. Let us bless those who bring forth bread from the earth. Last week, I kind of talked about the regular Torah reading for the week because it connected up to Labor Day. This week is not Labor Day. We just have kind of a regular weekend. But I did want to talk about what's coming up at Mahar, what's coming up in the Jewish world in the next couple of weeks. So we are at about the midpoint of the month of Elul. The month of Elul is the month that comes right before the month of Tishrei. The first day of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And we know that the Jewish New Year is different from the way we encounter the New Year in kind of just secular, everyday American life, that when January 1st rolls around, we maybe don't think too much about introspection, but we may make New Year's resolutions. We know that people make New Year's resolutions, and a lot of the time people aren't able to follow through on those resolutions. And part of the reason it's difficult for people to follow through on the resolutions is there isn't really a warm-up period, and there isn't really a period where you think it through unless you decide that you're going to do that on your own. But we don't bake that into American culture, right? What we have baked into American culture leading up to the new year every year, leading up to January 1st, is vacation time, holiday time, a big commercial kind of experience, right? So this is in broader American culture. Christmas is happening. And even though very often Hanukkah is pretty close to the new year, and even though we have other holiday traditions like Kwanzaa that occur at the same time, for most Americans, the run-up into January 1st is not a time of introspection. It's a time of maybe some wishful thinking, but it's not a time for serious introspection for most people. The Jewish New Year that happens on Rosh Hashanah is preceded by this month of Elul, which in Jewish tradition became a period of introspection. And there's no necessary reason to start your year on January 1st or on the first day of Tishrei. And in fact, according to the rabbis, there are 4 New Years in the Jewish calendar. So this is one of 4. But for Rosh Hashanah takes on a serious character because, at least in the Torah, it seems as though Rosh Hashanah is intended as a day to get everybody's attention, because 10 days later is Yom Kippur. So the Torah describes Rosh Hashanah as a Yom Teruah, a day of alarm, a day of blasting, right? And we know that that means blasting, blowing the shofar. Rosh Hashanah is intended as a warm-up day. Over time, the period from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur developed into its own long period of introspection. And traditions developed that, in fact, the process of judging starts on Rosh Hashanah and ends on Yom Kippur. And so if you have the stakes created like that that there are these 10 days in the year that are really, really serious. It helps to have a warm-up period. And Elul, over time in Judaism, developed as the warm-up period. So we're halfway through Elul right now, more or less. And so we're halfway through the warm-up period to Rosh Hashanah, which happens in about 2 weeks' time. Maybe a little bit less. So we're in the run-up to Rosh Hashanah right now. And so this is the time when we would be doing some introspection. And when it's good to do some introspection if you're thinking about making changes on Rosh Hashanah. And traditionally, the things that happen on Rosh Hashanah are focused on less on personal self-improvement and more on forgiveness. And so sometimes we need that month of Elul running into Rosh Hashanah to figure out the people that we've done wrong and to try to make amends. And so we're in the month of Elul. So this is the time running up into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. This is the time when we can stop and think about what it is we want to change, what it is we need to apologize for, what relationships we want to or need to restore. And the crucial thing to this, right, this is this process that is kind of broadly called teshuvah, which we call repentance, but teshuvah literally means return, the idea of returning to a correct path or restoring something that's been broken. And so teshuvah, even in traditional Jewish sources, teshuvah has kind of two components. One is the apology, and the other is changing so that whatever was the subject of the apology, that thing doesn't happen again. And that's why Elul is so important, because it provides us a fixed time in the Jewish calendar that we can use as the, I know holiday X is coming up, I need to do XYZ things in order to fix relationships, make those things better. And we can do that whether we are Orthodox Jews or humanistic Jews, or really not even Jewish at all, but we find some meaning in these kinds of practices. So this is nothing more than a suggestion that since we are coming up on Rosh Hashanah, we have this calendrical opportunity in a more serious part of the year, right? This is the beginning of the school year for a lot of us. This is the beginning of football season for some of us. This is the beginning of any number of things that kind of reset in the fall. And so now that we've reset into the fall, we can kind of start to do the reset that maybe connects up with Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur as well. So that's just my encouragement to think through some of that stuff and to think about it, because there's nothing magical about the Jewish New Year, and there's nothing magical about the secular New Year. It's us doing the work that makes it so. So with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and I hope I'll see some of you soon.